Okay guys, for our project, we're creating a book. We are to design the front and the back of that book. Now, before you get started, we are going to do what are referred to as thumbnail sketches. If you can recall from when we did thumbnail sketches from our portfolio, the reason for this is to give us and practice ideas before we start. As you know, and as anybody else has the same experience, if we don't allow ourselves that practice and if we don't give ourselves the opportunity to think through the options, we'll get lost and then we'll just continuously restart. So when we thumbnail, we do small ideas for that book cover. This is an example, right? Each of these squares is one idea for your book cover. Again, you're designing the front and the back, and within every single idea, you must have 5 symbols and 10 different line patterns. So to get started, you are going to need your art book cover packet. And in that packet, remember, we planned through all of the symbols that best represented us. And then you took some time practicing line pattern and line variation. So today, this is the opportunity to combine those two things to create designs for the front and the back of our book cover. The first thing that I usually do is I challenge myself and I pick a symbol. If you're having a hard time picking, honestly, just pick the first one that you see, the one that calls to you, and then draw it. So in this case, I'm going to draw the eye. And typically what I do to push myself, I try to draw my eye as big as I can, right? Maybe not so big that you take up the entire space, but really big so that you give yourself something to look at. A common mistake that a lot of students make is that they draw things so tiny and then they have a very difficult time filling up space. So again, in each of my ideas, one of these squares is one idea. I need to have 5 symbols and 10 different line patterns. I just drew one. So next, I'm going to go ahead and draw the next symbol. Let's go ahead and draw a water bottle. When I do this, if I draw something already big, to create contrast in my work, I need to draw something, the next symbol, maybe a bit smaller. If I draw it the same size, I mean, that's okay. Remember, this is the opportunity for us to practice and play around with placement, what it's potentially going to look like. And so there is no right or wrong answer at this point. I have 2 symbols. Again, I need 5 total. So now I'm going to go ahead and draw a third. Maybe I'll draw this Honda sign. Maybe I'm going to draw it really small since I have something big. I have something kind of in the medium range. Maybe I'll go with something small. Again, the hardest part about this is that there's no right or wrong. So you really have to allow yourself that and tell yourself that you're just experimenting. Now, notice how I'm not taking much time and trying to draw everything perfect. I'm just doing it quickly. This is about placement and sizing, and it's not about drawing it perfectly. When you find your favorite thumbnail, that is when you can go ahead and draw it perfectly when we start the creation of our actual book. So again, in this one idea, I have 3 symbols so far. I need a total of 5. And so here, let's go ahead and draw my P symbol. Now, I can draw my P symbol like somewhere, let's say over here. But another thing that you can do, which is an option, remember you're the artist and anything is possible, you can totally combine some of your symbols together. So I chose to draw the P symbol right over here, right? But now I need to draw my heart to get my 5 total symbols. If I wanted to, maybe I can replace this iris of the eye, maybe I can replace that with a heart. So technically, I still met all of the requirements for my 5 total symbols, okay? Symbol number 1 is my eye, symbol number 2 is my heart, water bottle is number 3, Honda sign is number 4, peace sign is number 5. That meets my first requirement. You may ask, can I do more than 5? Absolutely, but you can't do anything less. I am trying to encourage you and force you to get out of your comfort zone. So now that I've met my first requirement of 5 symbols, we now need to figure out where we're going to place 10 different line patterns. You can place it anywhere, right? For some of my examples, what I did is I broke up some of the backgrounds and I put LP with the intention that I'm going to put line patterns in that space. I chose to consider putting some, well, I don't have it as an example here, but you can consider putting some within some of the shapes that already exist. So for example, if I wanted to have a line pattern inside the heart, maybe I can just do like a little practice and I want these like little swirly squigglies as line patterns inside the heart. That's one line pattern. Maybe I want to break up the background and I want to do it kind of groovy and like really like swervy with lines. And then in each one, I want to place a line pattern. Now, in this case, you can write LP as a line pattern with the intention that you're going to put a line pattern there, or you can flip through and kind of pick one that's the most interesting to you at the current moment, and then maybe just practice it and see what it's going to look like. Again, you don't necessarily have to do all of it all at once. We're just trying to get a feel for, again, what these potential ideas are going to look like. Maybe you can do half of it. Maybe you can do some of it. Literally whatever you want, okay? But we need 10, so I need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe I can put 1 7 here. Now I need 3 more, right? So maybe I can consider putting a line pattern like in the Honda sign. Maybe I can put a line pattern in the label of this water bottle. Again, remember the whole idea is to play around with concepts and ideas so that we can get all of the bad ones out before we start. So I'm gonna call this one done. I honestly don't like it, I hate it. I think this might be too big. I think these are all the same size. And so if you hate this one, that's why we have a second, that's why we have to do 6, so that on our next thumbnail, we can change what we hate. So if I thought the eye was too big, maybe I can draw it smaller. Maybe I can draw it in the same exact spot, but maybe I want to be a little bit brave and then draw it somewhere completely different. And why don't I do that? Remember, no right or wrong. This is our opportunity to experiment and see what we got going on. For the iris, instead of the heart, maybe I'll do the peace sign. See what that looks like for me. Right, 2 symbols. Let's do my third. Maybe I'll draw the water bottle in this corner here. Womp womp. Water bottle. Maybe I can have the water bottle. It looks like it's gonna like, you know, pour out the water here. So maybe I can break it up that way. Maybe now that this motion's going this direction, I can draw some symbols going over here, right? I had a heart as my symbol. Maybe I can repeat the heart a couple times. Again, you're the artist, so anything is possible. Maybe I can do, what were my other symbols? Honda sign. I'm a big car guy, if you cannot tell. And again, this is not about taking the time to draw everything perfectly. So this is trying to get sizing and placement down. So I got my first requirement of 5 symbols. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I need 10 different line patterns. So in this case, maybe I can put a line pattern here. Maybe I want to practice the line pattern in this one because I want to see what it's going to potentially look like. And I'm like, yep, love that. So that's 1, that's 2. Line pattern here, that's 3. Line pattern here, that's 4, 5. I need 5 more, so where am I going to put them? Maybe I can continue breaking up this section. 6, and put another line here. 7, maybe I can put another line going this way. 8, maybe I can break this right over here. 9, 10, perfect. I did a little bit of practicing. Maybe I'm really curious of what this is going to potentially look like. Maybe I can go in some of these sections and start practicing some other line patterns. Again, like I mentioned, this is our opportunity to experiment, play around with ideas before we get started. We all know that we struggle sometimes with getting started, and then we often restart and restart and restart and restart. So this is where we do all of our restarting. We pick our favorite one, and then we create our favorite one on our actual book cover. Again, to give you an example, these are my thumbnails. As I was thumbnailing, I was playing around with different sizing, different placement, different ideas of where to put line patterns, and I ended up picking this thumbnail here, which eventually turned into this book cover here. So if you have any questions, you need me to clarify anything, please just let me know. Other than that, happy thumbnailing.